Sudden Strike 4. Is it worth a buy? Let's read the words, the words. Oh, those words, guys. Sudden Strike is back. The beloved real-time strategy series returns, this time with bigger battlefields. Wow, I'd hate to see the other ones then. More units, better graphics, new scenarios, and legendary commanders with individual abilities, all which make Sudden Strike 4 more tactical and realistic than ever before. So what is Sudden Strike 4? Well, it's a real-time strategy game set in World War II. So them two things should mean that I will absolutely love this game. But I don't. And there's a lot of reasons why I don't love this game. So let's get going. The first thing is it's very clunky. A lot of the times, and I mean a lot of the times, not just once or twice, I'm talking probably about 30% of the time, you will select a group, because you can group your units with your control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever. You'll select your group, right click on the map, give them their facing command, because you can actually select which way you want them to face when they get there, and then wait for them to arrive. And they just don't. They just don't even move. And they'll just sit there. And a lot of the times that has cost me dearly, because I've kind of moved a unit up to maybe support tanks, maybe infantry units, and they just didn't turn up. And I'm thinking, where are you? And then I looked where they were, and they're still sitting there. And it's so bad that. It's so bad. Also, the pathfinding is bad, as are the physics. For example, you'll often see a jeep pushing a tiger tank out the way. Like if you've killed a tiger tank and its shell's there, it's in the way of a jeep will just push it out the way. You know, physics, doesn't matter. And another good one is you'll want to send your tanks at a right angle as to where they are now and face the opposite direction. So you'll send them there and they just get halfway across, and when they have to do that 90-degree turn, it's just a big mess of crashing into each other, and you end up with a formation that looks like the back legs of a dog. It's just... It's a mess, the actual pathfinding of the game. Let's talk formations. You can't just pre-select a formation. You can't make your own formations up. The way the formations work is it depends on how many units you have in the group, and then you literally hold your right mouse button down and move the mouse in the direction you want them to face, and it will show you a number of formations you can have. So you just pick the closest one to what you really want, and then just select it, which for a strategy game is bullshit. You should be able to select whatever formation you want, but you can't. You can do all the kind of RTSE commands. You can stack commands up by using the shift, and you can do attack moves that kind of sometimes work. But the micromanagement of your units I just didn't like, because it's in the wrong areas. For example, your infantry units, you have mortar infantry, you have medics, you have RPGs, well, bazookas, and finding them is so hard because they all look kind of the same. I mean, the medics look a bit different, but the rest of them don't. And so you're clicking around trying, and because you can't zoom in that far, it's sometimes hard. And you can get this. When you win a battle, you get ranked and stars. You're nearly always going to get gold stars because it's pretty easy, and you can then use them stars on the next battle to unlock perks, if you like, for the battle. And one of the perks I unlocked for the medics was using a first aid kit after you get critically wounded, and so you can use your first aid kit and get yourself back on your feet. But you have to actually click on the first aid kit. It's not like he's lying there on the floor thinking, I've got a first aid kit here, but I'm not using it. I'm not until you tell me to, sir. You know, they are the most moronic people you'll ever command in your life. And I use the word command loosely because you are just a puppet for the AI, which really commands everything. And that's why I really didn't like the game. And let me explain. This is the biggest problem with Sudden Strike 4. It is so dumbed down that when you do a battle, your hand is held all the way from the beginning to end. You see, in a proper real-time strategy game, what happens is you are given an objective at the beginning. It may be to take out some artillery guns. They're right at the top of the map. You've got to take them out, and you've got the fog of war from them right up to where you are at the other side of the map. Then the AI or the computer pisses off and lets you get on with it. That is a proper strategy game. Because if it isn't, where's the strategy? You know, I want to put my strategic skills against the developers who've made the game. But you don't in this, because what this game does is it shows you every single step that it wants you to take. It shows you the path, essentially, across the map that it wants you to take, because it's got all these little scripted events that will happen at certain points that you must cross in order to trigger them. And if you don't do it that way, you are getting heavily penalised, because a lot of the scripts that happen are your reinforcements. For example, I'll give you a great example of one. I think it was Barbarossa. That's not a woman who lives around the corner. That's yeah, Operation Barbarossa, or Barbarossa, whatever it is. It was a Russian when the Germans were attacking the Russians. We had this map, and it had something like 7 objectives on the map. And before I even got a tank or a unit, I had to send reconnaissance planes to each one of these spots on the map, which took about 10 minutes. And I had to wait till it uncovered. There's some artillery there, there's some tanks there, there's some infantry there, blah, 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 blah. Then I was given a handful of units, and it said, oh, by the way, if you want to attack, you'll notice a trench line all the way across the map. And I looked, oh yeah, there's a trench line all the way across, but there's a gap, a little gap. You got to go through that little gap. Head there and put an objective on the map. I have to go there because that's where wherever the blue circle is, or the hoop that you have, that's what you have to jump through. You have to jump through that hoop, and when you jump through that hoop, it will then give you your next objective. And I hate it. I absolutely hate that. It takes away you being a general. It really does. So the only strategy really in this game are these little mini games, if you like, that you fight at each little hoop that you have to jump through. Oh, this hoop here has some artillery in it and some infantry. Yeah, right, okay, I'll jump through that hoop. I'll send some infantry first and open up the map, and then my tanks will follow up and blast them, which comes on to another bad thing about the game. The balance is horrible in this game. You can be firing 4 tanks at a field gun, and it'll take like about 7 or 8 shots to knock it out. It would have gone down with 1, or worse still, you'll get 1 infantry guy attacking a tank with his machine gun. Oh yes, I've seen this happen many a time. An enemy machine gunner firing at one of my tanks, a German medium panzer tank, and the panzer tank opens up with its machine gun, which would have cut him in half IRL, but he sits there trading with it for about 30 seconds until he kills him. So it's all wrong. It's like, how can you do this with a RTS strategy game? And so you go through all these hoops until you've finished the battle and done everything that you were supposed to do, and then it moves on to the next one. And there's 3 campaigns. There's the Allied campaign, there's the Russian campaign, and there's the German campaign. And all the campaign briefings are done by a guy from Texas. Yes, the Germans have a Texan who briefs you. The Russians have a Texan who briefs you. It's just, you only get the regional proper accents when you were actually in the game, playing the game. It's all just, it's a disaster, guys. It's an absolute disaster, this game. Another thing, guys, and there's more. Another thing, the AI have longer vision than you do. I mean, I know it's a game and you have to make them a bit harder, but you'll be often going along and you'll get shot at from inside the fog of war, and you don't know what it is. You just see these missiles coming at you, or shells hitting your tanks, and you think, oh, they've got spotters, and then you move in and find that it's just a tank. How come he could see you? He's not on high elevated ground, he's not in cover, he's out there in the middle of a road, and it's just cheating AI again. But coming back to my point, the biggest elephant in the room for this game is the fact that you have these scripted events in every single battle. The enemy units aren't just wandering around the map trying to stop you. You know, it's not like they've programmed the AI like in a proper RTS game to do its thing and defeat you. It's just you have AI simply there, and there. And you have to get to them points to engage the AI, and the map will make sure you have to go in a route that is pretty much determined by the developers of the game, so they can add a few ambush. Predictable as this game, guys. Absolutely, you can just tell exactly where there's going to be an ambush. It has literally no proactive AI in this game at all. To give you an idea, my dinner was ready halfway through a battle, and I was actually attacking a point on the map, and I just kind of got up to walk out, and my girlfriend says, "You're not going to pause it?" And I said, "I don't need to, it'll be fine." And I came back about an hour later, and they were all there. They'd won the battle without me, and they hadn't had a single attack from the enemy, because the enemy's in these predetermined zones on the map just waiting to be triggered by the script. And after about 10 hours of play, you don't want to play this anymore. You just kind of think, oh, I've seen it all before, I've done it all. It's everything feels the same. No replay value whatsoever, because it's all so heavily scripted that you know that each game's going to play out pretty much the same as the last one. And it's an absolute failure of a strategy game. Absolute failure. The multiplayer doesn't really exist at all. It's just like, I mean, it has multiplayer, but there's nobody actually playing it. And the single player skirmishes are hilariously bad. You get about 6 maps that are about the size of a postage stamp, to be honest, guys. And I'll tell you this, I was streaming this last night. I did a couple of campaign missions, and then I did a skirmish, and I literally beat the AI in 4 minutes. I don't even think we played for 5 minutes, and I beat the AI. It was ridiculously easy. Now, guys, there's a reason. There is a definite reason that the game is like this. And I'm going to tell you that reason. It is because this game was made for the PlayStation 4. Yes, they have tried to get this game on consoles, and they've took a lot of steps to make sure that the console gamers can cope with it. And that means they have dumbed this down to a level that is just totally unacceptable for a strategy game. And they've done it so that the console fucking sofa jockeys can play it. That's what it is. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. Yes, I do. You have to look at console users with their little fucking controller. They've never probably played a game that's like this before, like a strategy game before. So you have to lead them by their hand all the way around their little game map, showing them what to do. And I'm quite sure some of them will think this is just amazing. You know, the consoles for games like Okie Dokie and Banzo Wango run around a fucking game with a big backpack on, collecting spanners and bolts that are flying around whilst they're leaping around on the fucking little platforms going doinky 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 doinky. Strategy belongs on the PC, but what we've got here is a game that's been dumbed down for the fucking console users, and people like me who are a PC gamer have to suffer the consequences with the most dumbed down, limited, awful strategy game like this. It is nowhere near worth £40 on the PC, nowhere near. A big disappointment. And I do apologise to the developers who were kind enough to give me a review copy for this game. It's not often I get them, and this is probably why I'll probably never get another one from these. But I've got to tell the truth, I've got to be honest, and this game is just diabolical for a PC strategy game. Even the AI sucks in this game a lot of the times. I mean, we all know that the weak part of a tank is its arse, and the amount of times that the computer just, for no reason, no real big reason, just totally turns to show its either sides or arse to your guns is ridiculous. I've also seen enemy artillery pieces just charge right into your lines, to your defensive lines, for no reason whatsoever. It's just a mess. There's a couple of positives though, and that is the sound and the vision. The sound effects are amazing for this game. Even the engine noises is good. But when the battles start, the noise is just terrific. Really high quality sound that does add to the atmosphere of the game. And the graphics, it looks really nice. I mean, it's not going to win any awards, but it really does look nice. It's just a shame that these are the only two really good things about the game. And the gameplay, which is the most important, is just totally dumbed down and casual. And, you know, that's not what you expect when you pick up a real-time strategy game about World War II. So I'm going to thumb this down, guys. It's just not worth a buy. Not at £40. It's way overpriced. Especially when you consider that Steel Division Normandy 44 is £5 cheaper than this and way better. You can also pick up Company of Heroes 2 for $14.99, and I would take both of them over this any day. It's such a shame. I had high hopes, but there you go, guys. It's just not worth the buy.